So you hinted at it a little bit, and I want to dive into it. What's your experience with grit, being someone that procrastinates and waits till the last second, but is also unbelievably successful in terms of academia, being able to even move towards a PhD is a very impressive feat.
Well, thank you, Josh.
Yeah,
Anyone can do it.
yeah. You just need grit.
Exactly. You just need grit or like large amounts of money.
That too.
No, me with grit, like I said, I was a strange kid, but I had a goal to study sports psychology from the get. And so for me, particularly this past year with COVID, I think like perhaps many of us, or maybe I'm just projecting, like I had a major breakdown where I think I was on the floor of my living room and my partner was with me. And I just said, like, I should just go to med school. Like, at least you come out of it and you have like a very clear idea of like what it's going to look like. So fast forward to now, I'm better. Don't worry about me. But that dream of studying sports psychology and going on, getting my PhD, doing whatever postdoc I have to do to get that faculty position, hopefully one day is the goal, has been, fairly unwavering aside for that one moment. And I think that goal, and how I like to describe goal progression, is almost kind of like, it's called a goal hierarchy, but I like to think of it as like a Christmas tree, in that you have your lower level goals on the bottom. Maybe those are micro goals that you achieve every day. And then you move up to like, this is my goal for the week. This is my goal for the month. This is my goal for the next decade. And at the very top of your Christmas tree, you have a goal that's perhaps a little bit more abstract, a little bit more nebulous, and maybe isn't necessarily something you're ever going to be able to fully achieve in your lifetime. It's not the answer to what do I want to be when I grow up, but it's what do I want to give to this world? And so mine is kind of like what you said at the beginning there in my intro, is my goal is to be able to help athletes focus on their strengths rather than their weaknesses in sport. And the thing with that top order goal, that star on my Christmas tree, is that there's so many ways to be able to do that. So there is room for flexibility. But the path that I'm on right now is, hey, I want to be a professor one day. So that kind of, that guiding star, that North Star, has kind of always been with me, like I said, since I was young. So I think that's so important, particularly in academia, where a lot of it is left up to other people. So unfortunately, it's very much a numbers game, publish or perish. And you could just write a paper about a topic like grit that other academics don't believe is a thing, so they reject your paper, and thus you don't have that metric to put onto your CV. So you have to have that kind of guiding North Star in order to keep going. So that's kind of been my experience with grit and kind of my path.
It's interesting that you mention the breakdown being your step where you said, well, maybe this isn't it, because Matthew Primrose and I had a conversation about a week ago now, and he was explaining his relationship with volleyball, and volleyball being this thing that he really, like, he wants to become professional. That's his goal. And so there are also parts of him that say, well, maybe this isn't it. And I liken that to a relationship, in that when you have a partner, it's someone that it's someone that you commit to, and your commitment to them supersedes what might come in the future. That's I would say that's maybe the ideal of having a partner. You're not just waiting for the next better partner to come along, and you actually have to reject notions of those when they do come along, because you've committed to this current partner. And there's this consistent ebb and flow of how committed you are to the thing, and where you feel that your efforts could be potentially more valuable elsewhere. And could you talk about that a little bit, and how grit relates into that as well? Because I think that that's something that I don't really hear that spoken about, particularly in the partner perspective. I think that now more and more people are more hesitant to get in to relationships because of or they're more likely to maybe leave relationships. I would say that I would compare that to the marriage epidemic that we're facing of divorce, and how it seems to be more commonplace and socially acceptable for people to get divorced because there's something better, there's something else out there.
Well, I think you already kind of spoke to it. Was what is the temporality that you're seeing this relationship in? Are you looking at it in the short term? Because if you're looking at it in the short term, there's a million other options out there that are probably better than the one presenting to you in the moment. And also, if you're looking and pondering it in the short term, it's probably because something has gone wrong. So you're in a fight, and of course every other option out there looks like it's better than the one you're currently in. But again, if you're looking for someone in the long term, and myself and my partner have been together for about 6 years now, that long-term piece, how does it align with those long-term, how does your relationship align with your long-term goals? How can your long-term goals get better by partnering with this person? How is it more likely for you to achieve these long-term goals? I think puts things in a better perspective, one that you can judge a little bit with a little bit more of a mindful approach, a little bit more of a realistic approach. Because again, that self-control, that kind of in the moment approach, particularly for something like a relationship, I don't think does the complexity of that relationship justice. There has to be some knitting together in the long term, I think, to have a gritty relationship, to have that grit in that particular domain.
Right. Well, I think you said something that perfectly encapsulated the idea, in that it being easier to look elsewhere in the moment, especially when you're in a fight or there's some kind of decrease in the quality of the relationship. It might not be the relationship is doomed, but it might be that it's something that you have to work on with the person and yourself, which is incredibly difficult, because to do that is to admit that maybe you're wrong about something, or maybe they're wrong about something, or maybe there's something to work on. And I think that relationships do a good job at that, is illuminating the things that we could do better by viewing our partner as in an idealistic lens. And then also, when we don't live up to that idealistic manifestation, then that gives us a little hint as to where we could potentially be better.